Hello everybody, welcome back to the Angular training series. First let's have a look up till now what we have covered in our Angular tutorials. First was the first Angular application building. Second, we learned about component, creating your components, styling the components, what is data binding and property binding. We worked with directives. We learned about forms, two kind of forms, that is template driven forms and reactive forms. Today what we are going to learn is about routing. Now what routing is? The applications which we made up till now were single page applications, that is an SPA. Now what we want to do is, supposingly a user wants that when he clicks on about, it should load another component known as about us, or products, it should load products. So that is multiple pages or multiple components to load from a link. To achieve this, Angular has something known as routing. Now what routing is and what are the components of routing, let's have a look at it. Routing, as you say, what are the components of a router? What is a router? Angular router is a service, that is Angular router API, that enables navigation from one component to another component. What is a route? Route tells the Angular router that which view has to be loaded when a user clicks on a specific link, or he directly puts it into the URL. Routes is an array of route, multiple routes, that is it will hold the routes, that is about us, products, contact us and such kind of thing. Router outlet, the router outlet is a directive which has to be put in the app component file, which allows to load that particular routes and that particular location. So this is working as a placeholder. It will be a placeholder for loading the components which are clicked and loaded. Router link, a link is a directive that binds the HTML to the route. So in HTML what we used to do is ahref. So over here we have router link instead of ahref. Ahref does not work, it is not like that. That is anchor tag will work, but I'll show you the difference, what the anchor tag works like and what a router link works like. Router link active, it is a directive for adding class and removing classes. Activated route, this will be used with parameters. It is an object that represents currently activated route. And router link parameters, that is parameters which we pass this, such as query strings, that will be in router link parameters. In this lecture or in this session we will be covering up to router link. The next part will be covering the router link active, activated route, and how to pass the parameters. So let's start with creating an application and learning how to use routing inside your Angular application. So first and foremost, let's open the command prompt and we create our new application, ng new. I name it as ANG routing. It is asking you, would you like to add Angular routing? If you say no over here, then the routing files won't be added automatically. You have to add it manually. For that, we want to use it. So I say yes and I press enter. It is asking you the CSS and you press enter. So this will create a new application, that is an Angular application which we will be creating from scratch for understanding the routing process. So the application is created successfully. It is in C. So we start Visual Studio Code again and we open our application. ANG routing. So this is a blank application. Now first of all, we start the terminal and try to run it. So we run the command as ng serve. Okay, it's giving a minor error. The CLR version is not compatible with Angular versions. Okay, so for this kind of error, if this occurs, it says that your CLI is only compatible with 16 version and your version is 15. So for this we need to update Angular core. So for updating your Angular core, ng update @angular slash core version they need is 16. So this will update the core inside your project. So it says installing packages. So it will be updated, and now we can run that application. Let it install. Package is successfully installed. Remember, this is updating the Angular version inside this project itself, not global. For global, you have to give the switches minus dash g, so that will be global. But if you want to be an application specific, then you can run this command inside the terminal from that application and it will be updated. So the application is starting. So let's try it. I control and click. So this is your first page which is already loaded. Now for routing, as I said, have a look what exactly it does. When you enable routing, you will get a file as app routing module file. Inside that you are having that array, roots array, the array which we talked over here, that is roots. Roots is an array of root objects, so that will be used to create that part. Now this roots array will be having a mapping to the actual links, mapping to the actual components. So for that, first and foremost, we create 3 new components. So we open new terminal window, keep the running window over here, and for creating component we say ng gc component about nggc products nggc, and I create a component as home. So these are all 3 components created. Now up till now what we learned is inside your app component HTML, which is filled right now. I clear it out so it will be blank. So your component is blank right now. And to call any component, we used to call that particular component one by one. That is app about. So this will call a component about. This was for a single component. Now what we want to achieve is we want to have links over here, and when the user clicks on about link, it should open about. When the user clicks on product, it should open products, and when home clicked, it should be home. So for achieving this, what we have to do is we have to put links inside your app routing module. So open that app routing module file. Inside that you have an array over here. Now this is how your array mapping works inside your app routing module. In your app routing module, what you have to do is you have to specify the array of the components. So for that it is giving you such as path, redirect to, home, preg match full. So this will be an array. So over here what we will be doing is we will be giving curly braces. In curly braces what we will be giving is path to about root. First and foremost we give a path to about root. So first the things which you want to write is path. It is asking you question mark path, you give colon sign there, and what should be written after our local host over here. What we want to do is we want to do it like this. If I do about, it should open about component. So for that we have given over here that it should be about. Now it should load which component. So for that you type the component array, and component you get the name over here, that is your about component. So it will be pop up over here. So this is specified. Now understand how it has been running and how it is being called. The roots array, the name is constant roots, and over here you will find as imports router module for root and routes. Now this has to be called somewhere. So in your app module file, you will be having as app routing module. So this calls this particular module, and inside that module we have specified the routes array, and in that array first we have written as about, it should call about component. Now when your running is on, that is your application is still running, and you type about, it should load about component. I just press enter over here. So as we type about over here, it should work, but it is not loading. So as I said, you should have something known as router outlet. It is a directive which makes the Angular understand that where the particular about component should be loaded. So we want to load it over here. So that is the part of that app component. Right now app component is blank. So over here we have to type the directive as router outlet, and we save it. When we save it, you see about component is loaded. So this is how your routing, basic routing works. Now supposingly we try to give another route which is not written, it loads nothing. It redirects again back to the route because there is no route defined for products. So for defining the route for products, again what we have to do is we have to define an array over here. One array is defined already. The second array has to be defined, and that array is the array for your products. So give it path, and we want to type as products. So we define it over here products, again say comma, and we give component, and the component to be loaded is products component. So if we try over here slash products, this loads products. We try as slash about, it loads about. So this is how your routes are defined. Now what we want to do is we want to give a GUI mode to the user where he clicks and the route should be loaded instead of just typing over here. So for that, in your app component we have to give the hyperlinks. So first and foremost we do it with hyperlinks, that is the basic thing, ahref, and we write as absolute routes over here. What we try to do is we give absolute route about. This should also work, but this will be working differently, and the other one, that is a RouterLink, will work differently. This is a simple ahref tag, that is hyperlink anchor element. This is your home, that is root of your application app component. I click over here. Now you should observe over here what actually is happening. Just observe this thing. So when you click the ahref, that is anchor element link, HTML link, your single page application refreshes, it reloads. Just check this refresh button over here. I am on the route. When I click, it reloads, right? Now what we want to do is we don't want reloading. We don't want the component to be reloaded. So for that we will be using the base of your Angular, that is we'll be using router link. So when we use router link, it will work as a single page application loading that component without refreshing your application. So for that you have to give as router link over here. So instead of direct link, that is absolute link which we have given over here slash about, what we will be giving is a, and then we use the directive as router link. Now inside that router link in double quotes, you have to again give it as an array itself. So for that, what we will be doing is slash about. So that is an array defined inside it. And now I write again about over here. I give a br, so now top one is normal anchor link and this is router link. So observe that when you click on router link, first and foremost, let's come back to the base page. I click on router link, it loads, but it does not refreshes the entire page or the entire application. Same thing when we do it from here, it refreshes the application. So it is advised that you use router link. It doesn't mean that this does not work, but remember, when you will be clicking this links, it will refresh or reload that particular application, but this will load inside the application itself without refreshing. So this is how your links are to be put inside your app component HTML. Now to make it look prettier, what we will be doing is we just off this code. So we commented it. Now we'll be using nav, that is bootstrap. So first and foremost, let's go to the bootstrap CDN. We need the CSS, copied it, and inside your index HTML, we specify it on the top portion. We also need the JS, copy that link and we paste it. So we can use bootstrap easily. There are two ways to use bootstrap. You can either use it by npm or you can directly write it inside your index HTML. That also works. So now we can use bootstrap classes. So we define nav, that is a nav tag for this. Nav, the class will be navbar. Navbar dash light, and we use it should be expanded, navbar expanded or expand, and we use as expand as large, that will make the large navbar, and we use as background bg dash primary. So this will create a basic navigation bar. Inside navigation bar you can use a container, so we give as a div dot container. Typo mistake. So this creates a container over here, and I make it as container fluid. So this will create a fluid container. Now over here we have to use navbar brand. So that is the first class which is there. It is giving a suggestion a class navbar brand. So when you press tab, it will be already loaded. That is navbar brand, and I can write the application name as navigation demo, and already the router link is set to home. This is not defined, we will define that home path over here. So this will, when clicked over here, it will be taking you to the home page of the application. Now we define a button over here. In button we give a class as navbar dash toggler, navbar dash toggler, type equals to button. Inside that we have to give it what has to be done. So that is data dash bs dash toggle equals to collapse, and the target data dash bs dash target equals to the navbar div hash link. So I give as my nav. So that is defined over here. So this button is defined. Now inside that button you can type something or whatever, you can have an icon over here. So for that you can just give a span tag inside it. So I give a span. In span we give as class equals to navbar dash toggler dash icon. So this will give that 3 lines of icon over here. So that is done. So we gave navbar brand, we gave the button. Now inside that what we will be doing is we will be creating a div which is having the name as hash mynav. So again it is defined as div id collapse navbar collapse justify content end. So this is your navbar. Now inside that div we have to give the navbar. So we give it ul, and inside ul we will be giving the class as navbar nav, that is navbar dash nav, and here will be your link, that is li. Inside li you will be giving your anchor links. So that anchor link is ahref equals to navlink, which is class equals to navlink. Or we use the same direct link, so we can use it. Just copy it, we already defined it, and the class you can leave as nav dash link. So you specified one link over here, that is about link inside your bootstrap navigation bar. So you can observe you get a link over here, navigation demo. Home is not defined, so for that we go inside app routing. Over here we can define for home. So for that home we have to define another route. So for defining that route we give it at the top, that is home route, and for that route what we will be giving is path colon, and that will be the root path. So we don't specify any slash or something, and then we give as component as home component. So again the route for your home is also now defined. So now home should work. So this is home is working, right? So this is how your link is been set. So over here you are having home demo, that is your first link home. As I click on about, it should load about. Okay, that works over here. Path home is not defined, let me check. Okay, over here you should not have home, instead it would be slash. So this is home and this is about. So there is 2 links already set. Now the same way we have to set another links. So we copy this entirely, paste it. Over here you give link for products, and for that you will be having over here as products. Same way give a link for home also, or we can't give a home link because we have already set it on navigation demo, so that should work. So these are all your 3 routes, basic routing working. When you click on products, it loads products. When you click on about, it loads about. When you click on home, it loads your home. So this is your basic routing in Angular. Now what we want to do is we want to do the same thing but programmatically. We can do this programmatically also. Supposingly I want something as I want a button inside your home page, that is your home component. So I go on home component and I give a button over here, button, and inside your home component, what we do is to use the router link or routing programmatically. What we will be doing is we will be creating an object of router inside the component which you want to use routing dynamically, that is programmatically. So we define a constructor over here. In that constructor, you have to create an object for that router. So you define as private and I define as router. You can give anything name, and the object should be of type router. You observe that you get an import router from angular/router. So this is defined over here, that router is defined, and I did it inside the constructor. So now you can use this router, which can be used to navigate using that button click event, the button which have been already placed on your home page. So over here what we'll be doing is we will be creating an function. So I define a function as public and I give the name as about page. Now to load the about component on click of this particular function or calling this function, we have to give as this dot router. The method is navigate. Now inside that navigate, we can define the same array which have been defined inside your router links, but this will be working programmatically. It is one and the same, but you are doing it programmatically. So we defined as about and we terminate it. Now you can call this particular function from your home component. So from your home component you have to define it over here. So I give a click event, it is on click, it should call that particular function. So that function is about page. So it presents over here and it is done. I give a longer name over here, that is call about programmatically. We can give a class over here also, that is class btn and btn primary. Now this is on the home page itself. So about products and I go on home. Now if I define or click over here, what should happen is it should call the about component. So it is calling the about component. So this is how you can do it programmatically also. So this was all about the basic routing. A quick look what we did and what has to be done. First and foremost, while creating the project, when it asks you want routing, you have to say yes. So you will get a file named as app routing module ts over here. It contains array of routes having the base class as routes. This routes belongs to Angular router. Now this routes will be defining what should be loaded on clicking which link or which particular URL. So we have to give the path over here. That is, the path is what should be called after the localhost, that is after slash, that has to be defined first. So this is the thing which is defined, that is about, and then a component tag which says component and which component to be loaded. So each and every component which has to be loaded over here has to be defined one by one as an array over here, that is already defined, which we have done. Then how it is being called, it has an import over here, router module dot for route, and inside that for route you are having your array which is defined over here, and this particular app routing module is called inside your app module along with your basic browser modules and all your computer declaration. You are having as app routing module which is already defined over here. So this is calling that particular file. But remember, after defining this, it won't be called directly. Inside your app component file, first and foremost thing what you have to do is you have to go over here and you have to define as router outlet. So this is the tag which tells that when the user clicks over this link, it should be displayed over here. So this works actually as a placeholder over here. Router outlet is a directive which is working as a placeholder that tells that when a user clicks on about should be loaded here. When the user clicks on products should be loaded here. Then another thing which we learned was how to call it dynamically using your button click or some event inside your TS file. So for using it inside your TS file, first and foremost is you are having an object of your router class. So for that you define it inside your constructor. So when this component is loaded, constructor is called and this will be initialized. After that we created a function. The function name has to be defined by you yourself, whatever you want. Then to call that particular page or particular component, we say this dot router dot method is navigate, and inside navigate also we have to give the same as we have given in the RouterLink directive, that is slash about, and you have to call that particular inside your button click that function, and it will be loading the component on your button click. So this is all what we learned about routing inside this particular module and this particular lecture. Next lecture we will be doing more about routing, but we will be doing as activated route and the parameters. The parameters which are being passed inside your, supposingly you are having a CURD operation, and inside that operation you say slash ID or user and user ID, you pass it over that, or products, you want a product detail. So when you click on it, it is passing your product ID. So that has to be done using your activated route and router link parameters. That will be covering in our next tutorial or part 2 of your Angular routing tutorial. Any questions regarding this tutorial, you can always post it in the comment section. And for getting notified for new tutorials, you can like and subscribe our channel for getting tutorials on all information technology subjects. Thank you.